President Trump's meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Joining me now in studio is Congressman Chris Smith, who has several roles in the U.S. House of Representatives. Among them, he is the senior member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. He's co-chair of the Tom Lantos Human Rights Commission and co-chair of the Congressional Executive Commission on China. He represents the 4th Congressional District of New Jersey, and he is a champion for the persecuted and the voiceless. Congressman Chris Smith, welcome back to Washington Watch.
Thank you so much.
All right, so let's, news just coming out. I mean, this dominated the headlines for the last 24 hours. But as I mentioned, no reports suggesting the president discussed persecution of Christians.
We don't know yet. The hope is that he did. And Marco Rubio, who is obviously the Secretary of State, he and I co-chair the China Commission. He's very well aware of all things related to human rights abuse by Xi Jinping, including and especially the ongoing and ever-escalating crackdown on believers in China. It is awful. They're committing genocide, Xi Jinping, against the Uyghurs and the Muslims. They continue their horrific repression of the Buddhists, but the Christians have been singled out in a very, very horrible way by this dictator, Xi Jinping,
and just
to destroy them.
And what we're seeing here recently is one of the most intense we've seen in decades. I know this may sound like a rhetorical question, but prior to President Trump's meeting with Xi Jinping, you co-authored, you co-wrote a piece with our friend Sam Brownback that was published Monday in the Washington Times, and it was entitled "Why China's War on Religion Matters to the U.S."
Exactly.
You are persistent, as I am, in raising this issue.
Right.
Why? Why does this have to be a part of our foreign policy?
Well, I think it's good governance. Obviously, if you have, and we wrote this into our op-ed, people of faith, you need less laws. They are self-contained. They have parameters in their lives. They're more honest, hardworking.
It's worked historically for our government.
It sure has.
You know, John Adams said that our government, our laws were made for a moral and religious people. They're wholly inadequate for the government of any other.
Exactly.
There was this understanding that people of faith, Christian faith in particular, as our country goes, would restrain themselves by self-government.
Exactly. And that was part of our op-ed that Sam Brownback, who's a great leader as well, like you chaired the Religious Freedom Commission, and you did that amazingly well. I do think that people need to understand, and that goes for Xi Jinping, it is in his interest to allow religious freedom.
But they're afraid of it.
Yeah, they're afraid of everything. And anything that he doesn't control, and his people, I in a speech I gave earlier today, pointed out that Solzhenitsyn...
Yeah, by the way, you spoke at CPAC.
Yes, I did.
They have, they're rolling out an initiative for persecuted Christians around the world, and you were the keynote today.
Yes, 380 million people worldwide, Christians, are severely repressed, many of them to the point of incarceration and torture. It is bad and getting worse. And we have tools, the Frank Wolf Law, International Religious Freedom Act.
Do we have an obligation to speak up?
Oh, I think we have to. And to do it looking dictators or other people that are doing it in the eyes, raising it and saying it matters, it should matter to you. We stand in solidarity with the oppressed, not the oppressor.
What happens if we don't?
If we don't, we enable it. Maybe unwittingly, but we enable it. If it's not something we're willing to raise and to do it in an informed way, because if you do it just haphazardly, the dictator says they don't know what they're talking about. It's just a talking point. But you talk about specifics, you talk about individuals. That's why it's always important, I think, that presidents and prime ministers and certainly members of Congress meet with people who are part of the diaspora or those who were asylum seekers and got the asylum because they were being repressed, like Bob Fu, people like that. You need to get their insights. That's why I hold so many hearings on religious freedom.
If we ignore it as a nation, and I would say this goes for us as individuals, especially as Christians, if we ignore it, does that not have an effect upon us domestically where we begin to lose the value and understanding of these fundamental rights that we take for granted?
Well, I think it also sets us up for losing it here, too.
Right.
It's not just over there. We have, we look at the guy that's running for mayor in New York. He is so anti-faith. Christian faith and Jewish.
Marxism is against it.
Right.
You have to eliminate faith and the family. in order for the Marxist ideology to take root.
That's right. Solzhenitsyn said it's militant atheism in his books about Russia or then the Soviet Union. And he pointed out it's not that they don't believe in God. They don't know. They're more agnostic than atheists. But they hate God. And I've actually been in a number of...
And people who are associated with God.
Oh, that's the people you crush.
Yeah.
You can't reach God, per se, but they can certainly reach those people or co-opt them. And that's what I'm worried about Xi Jinping with his Sinonization campaign to take over the faith and dictate what goes into the Bible, what doesn't. And that's antithetical to everything we believe in. Remember, we're admonished by God himself, don't change a word of this. Well, they're changing major books of it. I've met with top leaders in China, including the head of the Patriotic Association years ago, which was the official Catholic dictatorship-run church. And whole parts of the Bible were excised. I said, how could you do that? Who are you? Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and certainly St. Paul and all the others, don't touch it. Preserve it. Put sandbags around it. But they don't. They try to co-opt it. And if you fight it, you're in prison.
Right.
You're tortured.
Which
you're
is
even
what we
killed.
see happening right now.
It's happening right this minute with the Zion Church.
Well, Congressman Chris Smith, I appreciate you speaking out and drawing attention to that. There's other hot spots in the world. Nigeria, one that we've spoken about frequently. North Korea, it's cropping up everywhere. We've got to go to a break. We're going to come back. We're going to continue this conversation. So we were discussing China, the increased persecution of Christians that's happening there. It's interesting, and you've been around a while, so maybe you can speak to this, but it seems like there's a pattern that prior to the Chinese Communist Party leaders meeting with the U.S., it's like they intensify their persecution. It's almost as if they're testing and probing to see if we will do or say something.
That's a great analysis and observation. Often when discussions with the warring parties come together, one or both accelerate the amount of atrocities being committed. Putin does it every time. And I think that's what we're seeing here. But the hatred that Xi Jinping has for people of faith and the people around him is unpalatable. You could cut it with a knife. And the only people they want, like with the Uyghurs and others, they want them for their organs.
Right.
I have a bill, Forced Organ Harvesting Act, passed the House 406-1, and it hasn't gotten out of the Senate.
I do not think we should be having conversations about economic trade unless we're also talking about human rights.
It all has to be combined. And I hope
because we facilitated this. Yeah. You go back to the most favored nation status that was granted to the Chinese back in the 90s. And it was, well, we're going to change them by doing business with them. We're going to change. No, what's happened, we've changed.
Frank Wolf and I led the effort to ensure that MFN, most favored nation status with China, and human rights conditionality were one and the same, combined. Bill Clinton delinked it on May 26, 1994, and said, we'll just trade, and somehow they'll matriculate from dictatorship and doing horrific things to Christians and others just because they're trading more. That never works. And, I have a bill in right now to do just that, reimpose the linkage with human rights and trade.
But American businesses have changed their values because they wanted. That's right, because they wanted to do. We've seen this.
We've seen it.
We've seen, like, for instance, in the movie industry that's been doing movies with China, they've allowed China to edit their movies so that they're favorable toward China.
Well, look at the NBA, what it did to freedom and its freedom. I mean, it was ridiculous. He speaks out for a genocide and the victims of the genocide, and the NBA throws him out.
Yeah.
We've asked the NBA to come and testify. I want to get them in front of us as a witness and defend that. And he even told us that many of his friends in the NBA were fearful of saying anything, that they would be excised from the National Basketball Association.
All right, you and I can sit here and talk all day, and I'm going to run out of time. I want to get to another issue that's very important to you, very important to me. It's a new study that was released, a survey by McLaughlin Associates. It shatters a major pro-abortion talking point. Now, this study revealed that voters do, in fact, care about health and safety protocols when it comes to the dispensing of this dangerous chemical abortion pill, mifepristone. Now, abortions have actually gone up in this country since the overturn of Roe because of the abortion pill. 70% or more of abortions are now because of this pill. They're being mailed into states without any in-person consultation between doctor and woman. I mean, we got upwards of 80% of the people saying, yeah, we shouldn't be doing that.
Which is very encouraging that the American public gets it. Bill Clinton brought mifepristone to this country. He begged the maker of it, beginning in his first term, to bring it over here. They did sham trials about the safety, the efficacy. We know it works. It kills babies. It starves them to death. But they fudged terribly on the issue of safety for women. And women are dying. There's no reporting of it. Adverse effects under Biden we don't even report.
We wouldn't treat any other drug this way.
No other drug. It's in a league of its own in a very dangerous way.
So even 57% of liberal voters say an in-person doctor visit should be required before this drug is prescribed.
I think it's a fantastic motivator for us to do something.
Why is it not happening?
Well, we're asking the administration to take it. I would love for them to take it off the market because of the deleterious effects to women. The health, the newest study that came out on April 28th of this year found that 11% of the women suffer very serious deleterious effects, including hemorrhaging, sepsis. All of that has been put under the table by the abortion industry. So minimally, what the president, I hope, will do is say this mail order scheme where it is being mailed into Texas and everywhere else where
states that have pro-life
laws needs to be pulled back and stopped. And again, to require, I don't want it to be out there, but at least have the doctor involved with it so you're not just, you type something up and you get it.
But Congressman, you also have under this current protocol where an in-person visitation or consultation is not required, you have men ordering this drug from out of state.
That's right.
And putting it surreptitiously in drinks and food.
There have been so many cases, it's a tip of the iceberg, where this guy drops the pill in there while she's drinking her coffee, and next thing you know, she has an abortion.
Is the federal government's policy facilitating that?
Oh, definitely. It started under Biden. We need to reverse it. We're asking the president to reverse it. Many of us have done letters asking it be reversed. And at a minimum, again, make sure that the safety protocols are in effect for the women.
I mean, where do you find something where you have nearly 80% of the people agreeing to
Almost nothing. And that's encouraging that the American public get it so and have said so.
Folks, you can weigh in on this. You can sign the petition that will be delivered to the administration. Text LIFE to 67742. LIFE to 67742. This is too important to let go. Congressman Smith has dedicated his political career to protecting the unborn. We're not going to stop now.
And can I also say the abortion pill is now being promoted aggressively by the World Health Organization. It has been, but now more than ever. So when we say it's okay, it's safe, it gives the green light, and it's happening all over the world. And these women are going to die. Some are already dying.
Congressman Chris Smith, always great to see you.
Thank you.